Now let's discuss a few basics concerning Pesach, concerning Fasika, Passover. Once again, the timing for it is the evening of the 8th, Wednesday. Now, the 14th of Nisan this year of Abib is Thursday. So people would ask rightly, well, why, if it's Thursday, are we observing it beginning on Wednesday evening, Wednesday at sundown? It's because of the principle that the ORIT, the Ethiopian Torah, teaches us. And that principle is that evening precedes morning. Not like here in the West, in the Western world, and majority of the world, where the new day begins actually around midnight. If you look at the clocks, the times and everything change around midnight. Or they say when the sun comes up. But that is backwards. So the way that we observe time and the whole keeping of time is majority backwards in the West and throughout the world. Because they do not keep the word of Yahweh, Eloheinu, Lotusabhat. They don't. You know what I'm saying? But now for us, as the Hebrew people, another important thing you have to take note of is that Pesach, or Fasika, is the first of the Hebrew holy days, not so-called Jewish. See, when you say Jew or Jewish, you're abbreviating a name, Judah, anglicized, you understand? And then you're only referring to 1/12, you understand, of the Israelites. But actually, it'll be 1/24th, but then if we include KEDUS, Medianites, and the rest of them, we would actually have a smaller ratio. Why I say that is because coming from Abraham is for his seed, but especially for us as Israel. It was given to us as Israel. So but to call this a Jewish holiday is incorrect. It's a Hebrew holy day. This is this is the first of the Hebrew holy days, and it begins this year, 2009, begins on Wednesday the 8th at evening. That's when the sun goes down, because of the principle from Orit Mi'raf on, the principle in Genesis 1, evening and morning is a day. So the day accounts opposite of what's in the West. See, what we do in the Western world through Gentile misunderstanding is backwards. That's the first thing you have to know, is backwards. So it actually begins from evening and morning, and the principle is found in Genesis, the Orit Zelidet, chapter 1, Mi'raf and. Alright, so that's the first thing. The timing for this year's Fasika, Pesach, you understand, begins on the 8th. The Passover 2009 date, the first night of Passover, of Fasika 2009, is April 8th at evening, April 8th. So Fasika is the first of the Hebrew holy days. It's the first of the 3 major festivals of the Hebrews. Now the world will tell you it's of the Jews and it's a Jewish holiday, but like we just emphasized and broke down from the teachings, that to say Jew is to twist and abbreviate Judah, anglicize, you understand? And to just focus on this holy day as being a Jewish holy day is only at best referring to 1/12. So that means you're ignoring the other 11 tribes, and the true name for the family is the Beta Israel. So we as Beta Israel have to recognize Fasika, you know what I'm saying, which is the first of the holy days. It begins our holy QIDDUS calendar. You understand? It has a historical as well as an agricultural significance. Now we as the lost sheep of the Beta Israel, the house of Israel, scattered abroad, we have lost much of our historical as well as the agricultural. See, we cannot get to our agriculture, which is the land, if we don't recognize who we are historically. You know what I'm saying? But we need to use and utilize and benefit from this holy season, spiritually speaking. We need to cultivate the spirit of Beta Israel. We need to cultivate the true spirit of the Bani Elohim being, the true Beta Israel through ADONAI, Yahoshuwa, HaMoshiach, Getachin, Yesus Christos. So, FASIKA, Pesach, it marks the beginning of the holy calendar year for us as Beta Israel, as well as the harvest season, you understand, of the true Beta Israel. So that's the second part of our movement. See, the first part is knowing who we are historically, but the key to both the history, prophecy, as well as the agriculture and land is the spirit. That is the key. The key is that spirit. You understand, to utilize this time to renew in us, to allow the Holy Spirit through the authority of ADONAI, Yahoshuwa, the authority of Yesus, of the Lord, Jesus Christ, called Jesus Christ in the anglicized way. We recognize ADONAI, Yahoshuwa, Yesus, to cultivate a new heart in us, a new spirit in us. This is why this is important. This is the first. However, the primary reason that's usually cited for the observance of FASIKA, Pesach, Passover, is related to ORIT, Zesa'at. It's related to Exodus, and the book of Exodus, and in particular the Exodus of the Hebrew slaves. Even they have to admit that it's the Hebrew slaves. It's not the Jewish slaves, it's the Hebrews who were captives. You understand? Captive not just physically in ancient Egypt, but spiritually, in a spiritual bondage that's only comparable to the spiritual bondage of the lost sheep of the Beta Israel, so-called black people today. And the world, actually, but in particular black people, because if black people don't break this spiritual captivity and bondage, the world doesn't have a hope. You understand? That's why it's very important that you know who you are. You understand? So after generations of slavery, as the generations of second-class citizen status, you understand, after generations, the Exodus came, and that is FASIKA. You understand, a memorial of our freedom. You understand, of our freedom. Pesach in the Hebrew means a passing over, and it refers to the fact that Yahweh Eloheinu Lotu Sabhat passed over the houses of the Hebrews while afflicting Egypt and the Egyptians with the 10th and the final plague. Hence, the name of the festival is Pesach, FASIKA, or Passover. Now, many of our Christian brothers and sisters, they also celebrate Passover. You understand? On the fact that Geta Yesus ADONAI Yahoshuwa, the Lamb, was sacrificed with a view that Geta Yesus ADONAI Yahoshuwa was the sacrificial Lamb of Ha Elohim that delivered all humanity from the slavery of Chatiyat, of sins. So that needs to be understood. You understand that there's a Christian relationship to Passover, but has been lost by the majority of our so-called Orthodox and Christian and various denominations named and divided brothers and sisters. So we need to understand this, and those who are willing to learn need to learn. But let's just move forward. The name Pesach is also said to have been picked up from the fact that it was the name of the sacrificial lamb. The lamb itself, in the Hebrew, the Hebraist history and tradition, was called the Pesach, the Fasika, that was made in the temple on this holy day long before Exodus. You understand? The sacrificial lamb.